The military conflict in the Middle East is boiling over, pushing global stability toward a World War III scenario. Kharg Island is the primary focus of this escalation. This terminal handles a staggering 90% of Iran's oil exports, making it the most significant economic asset in the region. Under orders from President Trump, the American military carried out a massive bombardment of the island. These strikes targeted and destroyed Iranian military defense bases, while leaving the oil pipelines and infrastructure intact for the time being. By dismantling the military defenses around Iran's economic engine, the United States has essentially seized control of the global energy supply. The American administration coupled the bombardment with a targeted political strike, placing a $10 million bounty on the head of Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei and his top military commanders. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth later claimed that Khamenei was severely injured and disfigured during the initial strikes on the Iranian command centers. This strategy aimed to force an immediate surrender by simultaneously crippling the Iranian economy and neutralizing its top leadership. The American plan relied on a swift Iranian collapse. Instead, the administration miscalculated Tehran's resilience, triggering an aggressive regional escalation rather than a surrender. Iran's response was immediate. Ballistic missiles launched from Iranian soil targeted major Israeli cities like Jerusalem and Tel Aviv, sparking nationwide panic. At the same time, suicide drones launched in a massive swarm against infrastructure in the UAE, Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Kuwait. Drone debris fell over the Dubai International Financial Center, and in Iraq, a suicide drone struck a U.S. embassy helipad directly. The conflict has already claimed American lives, with 6 soldiers killed in an Iraqi plane crash. In response, the U.S. deployed an additional 5,000 Marine commandos to the theater. Iran has successfully used its proxy networks to pull the entire Middle East into the crossfire, expanding a localized strike into a regional war. The Strait of Hormuz handles 20% of the world's oil supply. Iran's Revolutionary Guards have now placed the waterway under a total blockade. Their single demand for reopening the strait, the complete withdrawal of all American military forces from Gulf nations. Amidst the chaos, Iran made one strategic exception. Citing deep bilateral ties, they granted safe passage through the blockade for Indian LPG tankers. President Trump responded to the blockade by demanding that the UK, France, and China deploy their own warships to break the Iranian hold on the strait. By seizing control of global trade routes, Iran has forced every neutral superpower to choose a side in the escalating conflict. The human cost of the war is rising, with death tolls exceeding 1,200 in Iran and 773 in Lebanon, as cities endure heavy bombardment. Markets are in a state of panic. Crude oil prices spiked 47% almost overnight, pushing the cost of energy toward the $100 per barrel mark. To counter the price surge, the United States lifted sanctions on Russian oil, allowing the product to flood the market to stabilize global energy costs. This move has infuriated European allies and Ukrainian President Zelensky, who argue the U.S. is now funding the very Russian military it claimed to oppose. The attempt to contain the Middle Eastern crisis has broken the unified Western Front in Europe, showing how quickly this conflict can spiral out of control. A final, terrifying scorched earth scenario now looms over the region. Iran has vowed to destroy every U.S.-affiliated oil refinery and gas plant in the Middle East if the Kharg Island wells are attacked. If Iran carries out this threat, oil will likely reach $150 a barrel, triggering global inflation and crushing the finances of average citizens. We are now witnessing the first steps of a potential global holocaust, as a display of force threatens to destroy international peace entirely. One final miscalculation on this geopolitical landmine now guarantees total economic ruin for the entire planet.